always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN. It is season 7 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. It is a post-Stanley Cup playoff edition presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. Say the Tim's NHL Hockey Challenge Stanley Cup playoff edition was a great success. Only in the Tim's app, we played for free. Chance to win daily prizes for picking players who you think will score. And a grand prize of $5,000. So Ray and I and Chris Sabunia and Ryan Rashad will all kind of wrap things up as far as the Tim's Hockey Challenge coming up later in the podcast. I'm not as bubbly about it as I was at the end of the regular season, with good reason, because I already know what the results are. I'm not happy about that. But that's fine. But it's not all about me.
Yeah, but just think, that's what Ryan had for 7 months.
He
already knew what the results were, you know. Maybe that's been rated one of the worst performances in history.
All time. I would agree with that. I would
had a lot of Rev Media business that I've been attending to. It's just a lot going on, guys. So I'm focused on other things.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I hope that's true. We'll see. We can tell, Ray, that you're in your home office. You're wearing golf attire for those who aren't following us on the YouTube channel. So it's a great thing that you are in your golf mode now.
Yes.
Safe trip home. I mean, Vegas, as we know, vibrant, electric. You might go as far as to say at times dangerous city if you don't have control of all of your vices, right? But for me, I had no sense of time. And maybe that's what Vegas is all about. It's not like I was like gallivanting across the strip or any of that nonsense, but I tried to stay in the East. I was telling Zuby about this. I tried to stay in Eastern time zone just because it makes the transition easier. So I was in bed, 10 o'clock at night. Perfect. But then you're strolling through the casino at like 5:30 a.m. and going, would it be a bad thing if I started playing blackjack at 5:30 a.m.?
Well, Dregs, my flight was 6:30 yesterday. So 6:30 a.m. And it is, it's a little screwed up because the games are at 5 out there.
Yeah.
Right? So you're done, you're finished. It was like, what was it, 8:45? We're pretty much out of there. And so as I'm walking to my Uber, it's like 5:15. It amazes me the amount of people that are playing. And none of them look happy.
No.
They're tired. They've been getting the crap kicked out of them for hours. And they're going to make that last 5:30 a.m. comeback. I'm like, go to bed, you people. Like, what is wrong with you?
It's similar to airports too, right? Because I'm a bit of a people watcher. And look, I'm not judging anybody. You be you. You do whatever you want. You want to eat an omelet at 5 p.m., that's up to you if you think it's breakfast. But, when you've got a cocktail in your hand playing blackjack at 5:30 a.m., that's a tough day. That's a big start.
The day is not going to get better. Especially when you're in Vegas having that cocktail and playing the slots there, because nobody that wins is sitting at that slot machine on the way out.
No,
they're feeling good. They've had a coffee, whatever. If you're still trying the last couple of, I guess they don't pull the machine anymore, a couple button pushes to looking for three bananas, I think you got problems, man.
That's fair.
You got issues.
All right. Heck of a series it was. It kind of fizzled towards the end, obviously, as the Vegas Golden Knights seemingly ran out of gas, or just, the Carolina Hurricanes overtook the series. You can call it as you see it. It doesn't really matter. So let's drill down on it in our headlines, brought to us by the Canadian Brew House. Hey, real fans, you know the move. You arrive early. Many of you did with happy hour at the Canadian Brew House, Monday to Saturday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Skip the couch, hit the Canadian Brewhouse, your home for every puck drop this season, every goal, and yes, every cheer, especially through the Stanley Cup Championship Final. Carolina wins the Cup in 6 games, Ray. Rod Brind'Amour said, "It was our time," quote, "we were not going to be denied." And that's not just a throwaway comment. Game 5 and 6 definitely had that feel to it, didn't it? That the Hurricanes were not going to be denied.
So I would even go back a little further. It felt like, game 4, they tied the series up out there, like
Yeah.
in Vegas. They go back home. I think they play their best game of the series in game 5 to that point. And it felt like, Carlson got hurt. Vegas made a couple of changes to their lineup. It felt like they were just, kind of hoping for a little bit of magic dust. And
Yeah.
Carolina dominated from Taylor Hall's goal. It was
Yeah.
I called it it was a virtuoso performance. It was perfect.
Mhm.
There was they just controlled. They could have played that game for 2 weeks, and Vegas was not going to win. The Carolina
No.
they were the better team. They were the deeper team. I don't think we can forget this. They were the way more rested team. Remember, they only played 13
Yeah.
games getting to the final, and that matters. Somewhere
Sure.
along the line, it becomes, if Vegas ran out of gas, Carolina had more gas in their tank to start, and so as
Yeah.
they wore down, they were just more fresh. They were the better team. They deserve the best team won the trophy this year. That's in my
Agreed.
mind. That's without question.
Yeah. So Jordan Staal, now the oldest Conn Smythe winner in history at 37 years of age. And, the Conn Smythe annually is a debatable vote. It normally is, right? And normally it goes to the highest performer, the person that produced the most, right? That's normally, or it's a goaltender. It just stands on his lid. And I don't vote anymore because I don't travel as often as I used to back in the day. And I don't think it's fair, unless you're deeply invested in all 4 rounds, to have a vote. It's such an important distinction and trophy. I agreed with the writers this time. And I guess I'll ask you the same question. The reason I agree is, for me, it's almost like the Norris Trophy, right? In that we know that the trophy for the Norris isn't often awarded by definition of the award. It goes to
Right.
the biggest point getting defenseman throughout the year.
Right.
And same thing applies to the Conn Smythe. But when you factor everything that Jordan Staal did and does and provides for the Carolina Hurricanes, especially in this 4-round playoff run to a championship, I think they got it right. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't vote either. He would have been my pick because, as I understand, the Conn Smythe's the most valuable player in the playoffs, and
Mhm.
you can the other guy. I I might have had a vote or a thought of Stankoven
Mhm.
for his goal scoring, but I I think the Conn Smythe sums up the Carolina Hurricanes in a way that maybe is a bigger picture. There is no most valuable player for Carolina. There's a most valuable, and I mean it. There's
Yeah.
a most valuable team. Like that is the definition of building a team that I'm sure other places are going to look at. We hear copycat league.
Yeah.
The one thing, and we'll get back to this. So I'm just Carolina defines that themselves, and they build themselves. They don't care what
Yeah.
anybody else is doing, but they know what they're looking for. As for the most valuable playoff performer, very first shift of the playoffs, puck hits the ice, and Jordan Staal fights Brady Tkachuk because Ottawa's going to try and bully Carolina a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Stahl's like, yep, no, sorry, not going to happen. It's 3 seconds into the playoffs. And then he scores
Yeah.
6 goals in the final. And he's 70% face-offs.
Incredible.
Like he wiped the floor with Vegas's centerman.
Yeah.
I know when I was taking face-offs that you'd go into the draw and you'd see the guy coming in to take the draw against you. And sometimes you're like, man, I do not do well against this guy. Could you imagine? Every Vegas centerman thought, oh God, Staal's coming in here again. Because every game he was 14-5, 15-3. It wasn't, he lost the first draw of the game in game 6 at center ice. I don't think he lost another face-off for the next 11. Like it was just like he was. I don't know. I think they got it right. That
Yeah.
I would have if I had a vote, Dregs, I would have voted for Staal as
Yeah.
well.
So Brind'Amour in the series, and I can't remember, I guess it was after game 5, I believe. And he was asked about the importance of Jordan Staal, probably for the 20th time in the series.
Right.
But it's just Rod's respect and level of appreciation for everything that Jordan Staal does, both as a player and as captain of the team, where he never tires from answering the same question over and over and over again. And so I'm sitting in the media availability with Brind'Amour, and he said, well, arguably, aside from his high level of contribution as a player, the most important thing that he does is look after all of the details so that Brind'Amour's head coach, the coaching staff, don't have to worry about the mindset, any of it. Like every player in that Carolina lineup is dialed in and ready for the game that they're about to play. There's no clickiness. There's no individual stuff on or off the ice because Staal has that looked after. Does that resonate with you? When you think of the leaders that you played with, you were a leader at a certain point in your career, the captains that you played for, that sort of thing?
Yeah, the good ones for sure. Like, because some guys just have it. Like they just understand that at a deeper level, like what it means to be a leader of a team, but also you have to do your job. I think sometimes we think of a leader has to be this great speech maker. That's not the case. I mean, it really isn't. I can give you a little. As you were talking, something clicked that I'll give you a little example of of how Staal leads. One of the ways, anyway. So I'm standing there. I got a great view all the time. Carolina starts on a power play, any power play, and Staal takes the face off. If he wins the draw, he stays in the zone and he goes to the net front and he does all that down low work, right?
Yeah.
If he loses the draw, so let's picture this. He loses the face off. Everybody's excited to be on the power play. Like you're pumped. He loses the face off. They shoot it down the ice. He comes straight to the bench and Nick Ehlers jumps on. Not once when I see him come to the bench, does he slam his stick? Does he show any frustration? There's nothing. It's like, no, I didn't get my job done there. Ehlers is going to go out. He just comes down and sits down. And I'm like, everybody sees that. If he's pissy about coming to the bench because, oh, I lost the draw, now I got to come off, and he's got a little grumpy face, then everybody sees that. Nothing. He just comes and sits down, and then he watches the power play. To me, that's a form of leadership. And there's just something about him. You got also, don't forget, like, I don't know, Stankoven's 22. Jarvis is, I don't know, 24. Blake is 23 or 22. And those guys are he's 37 years old.
Yeah.
Like the respect of the years that he's put in. Here's one other thing that I saw, and these guys would have seen it. It was the anniversary of the Penguins Stanley Cup win in 2009. And you know who's defending the lead? Is Jordan Staal. The last save when Fleury dives across, because that video was everywhere. And there's Jordan Staal. And these guys are playing with them. That was 2009. Stankoven was in the first grade. It's freaking crazy.
It is.
He leads, I think, in the way that Rod Brind'Amour led. more by action than words.
Yeah.
And you can see why Rod would have found almost like a kindred spirit a little bit in
Sure.
Staal.
Eric Tulsky, the same as every cup-winning general manager, deserves credit, right? I mean, he's got his fingerprints
bet he
all over
does.
this Stanley Cup. There's true balance here, though, as you alluded to earlier, when you look at the Hurricanes, Ray. Tulsky, noted for being an analytics-driven hockey executive, but he's not shopping for the player with the best analytics, right? He complements the roster by first recognizing, okay, is this player a fit in how the Carolina Hurricanes play? And then you shift over and you drill down on the numbers and the analytics, and you go, okay, well, I mean, there's enough example here that we see the speed, we see how this player plays physically, all of that, and you know what? His numbers are good too. So maybe there is a fit there, right? And I think that Tulsky deserves credit for finding that balance with the Hurricanes.
Well, I don't know how anybody can't give him credit. I mean, they built this team. It took them 8 years.
Yeah.
Gary Bettman said out on the ice drinks with the cup, he said, for the last 8 years, nobody's won more games, regular season and playoffs than the Carolina Hurricanes. It takes a long time to get your moment. And the balance becomes, Brind'Amour has a great idea. And I don't know if a coach has more sway over their team and
probably not.
the way that they play than Brind'Amour does. And so they have built, I don't know this, but I'm telling you, when I'm watching the team, I know it. They have built a profile of what a Carolina Hurricane player looks like. And so they're not trying to piece things in that don't fit. I think as long as I can remember, they tried that one time, and that was with Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
They took a huge swing. They felt that Marty Necas wasn't going to be able to, to be the type of player that they wanted. They needed a big scorer, they felt, so they traded for Rantanen. And when that didn't work, they turned Rantanen into Stankoven, 2 first-round picks, one of them that became Keandre Miller. And so their vision, they veered off a little bit, but then they're like, no, that didn't work. So what do we do next? And they ended up with players that fit. I would say there's a misunderstanding of what drives the bus. And so the vision of the team drives the bus.
Yeah.
Then you look at which players might fit. And then you look analytically, how does that support? I think Carolina gets this, I don't know, misrepresentation that they're sitting around with stacks of papers up over their head, and then by the time they finish all that, then they look at the player. That's not how it works. It works the other way. Their analytical vision and analytical data backs up what the player is or isn't. And I would say that I'll give you a player that I think is a perfect example, and that's Shane Gostisbehere. If you're looking for Shane Gostisbehere to play 22 minutes for you, probably not going to work. Carolina had a specific role for him. He plays on their third pair. He plays about 15 to 17 minutes a night. He runs their power play, which was 4th in the league during the regular season. He had an amazing final. He was tremendous.
Yeah.
He's a Carolina player. Their data fit what they were looking for. And so Eric Tulsky and his group, 100% they deserve the credit, the same as any other manager would.
Agreed.
That put together their Stanley Cup champion team. We talked about Bill Zito the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Of course he deserves credit. Of course his management team deserves credit. But so does Eric Tulsky. And if people that want to deny it, it's just because he goes about it in a different way. But too bad. He's a Stanley Cup champion.
So many great moments as part of the awarding of the Stanley Cup, the celebrations on the ice with friends, with family, and all of that. And we're fortunate hugely fortunate that we literally have a front row seat, right, to see all of this unfold in front of us. So goaltending was a big story on both sides, a big story. It always is in the final. You know, Freddie Andersen had a real good postseason. He got dinged up, we're told, in game 2, and he wasn't able to play. Brandon Bussi comes in, takes over, and just shuts it down. So, you know, I'm not going to lie. I was surprised but moved when Jordan Staal accepts the Stanley Cup, you know, takes his 15, 20 seconds, hoists it over his head, you know, does the little twirl around the ice, and then hands it over to Freddie Andersen. Yeah, I was surprised, but I was moved. I was kind of touched by that gesture, because that's not something that Jordan Staal or the Carolina Hurricanes would have considered lightly. At least Jordan and the leaders of the Hurricanes would have given that some thought before it became reality.
It probably tells us that oftentimes we all think we have an understanding of how a team's hierarchy works, and and how it all fits together in the room, and sometimes you just don't. And he was doing an interview 3 feet from me with Emily Kaplan, and she said, it was right before he got the cup, and she said, you're going to go hand it to somebody after you put it over your head. Who's it going to be? And he said, well, there's lots of people. He said, but probably Fred. And so at that moment, it was still churning through his head. And so I think it's the consideration for everything that Andersen had gone through. It's obviously quite publicized, with Claude Lemieux's death and their connection, but also that he had an injury-filled year, and then he won 13 games. Like, he's Brandon Bussi, at the moment of his life, he's like, hey, we're not here without Fred. He says in his interview. And I find that, like, really cool, because it's not been an easy road at times, and sometimes he just hasn't met the moment. Andersen hasn't. And in this playoff, he did. And then I do think, almost by fortune of Andersen getting hurt, the leg up in the last part of the series in goal became the fresh goalie, the more energetic goalie. Hart was just a little bit behind the play most of the last 3 games. I thought he was really good in game 6, but he's got to stop Taylor Hall's shot. Like, what one goal per game is too much. And but he played 25 straight games. If Vegas didn't have the luxury at any point to go, oh, we got a comfortable spot in the series, or we're comfortably in the playoffs. They never had that. I guess the closest they had was when they won game 3, and Hart had given up four goals in 3 straight games. Maybe you could have played Aiden Hill there, but he hadn't played in so long. And he's a different goalie than Bussi. Like, Bussi's, Hill's got to be positional and square and all that. Bussi's just so athletic and big. And there was a great description once of a goalie most people listening to this would have never heard of, Doug Favell, who used to play for the Philadelphia Flyers. And I always remember this, Drakes, because I love it. They said he plays like a bowl of Jell-O without the bowl. And that's kind of what Bussi is. He's kind of all over the place, but he's so athletic and so big that he was the fresh goalie. And I think that was another leg up for Carolina.
So there were so many emotional moments, as there always is. Again, I've had the good fortune to be on the ice with the mass media for cup celebrations, and you see it firsthand. Just a beautiful exchange with Seth Jarvis and his family, where he's just overwhelmed.
By the way, he was crying. He was crying out there for 10 minutes.
I know.
He is such a gamer. I just love his.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love his way. He's just, I don't know. He's an easy guy to cheer for sure.
He certainly is. He's got so much life. And look, this is a Jordan Staal themed podcast as we wrap up the Stanley Cup Championship. but with good reason. Ryan Rishaug and I and Dave Parker, ace cameraman, were probably 6-8 feet away from Jordan Staal when his brothers came onto the ice, for the massive group hug. I mean, it was pure, it was honest, it was joyful, it was brotherly love on open and full display. Like, those guys were vibrating in that group hug. I mean, it's one of those experiences where, whether you see it on television or you see it firsthand, you don't even have to talk. You don't have to describe what you're seeing. I mean, you can feel it just pouring through the screen. It was just so honest.
They, first of all, they are big people, the Staals. Holy, massive.
Enormous. Like,
and so I ran into their dad in the
Henry,
lobby bar.
yeah.
They were waiting for the guys to get back because they had a private thing at the hotel, and he was like, he's like, he didn't even really have a whole bunch of words. It's just like, his boys are all there, and they're here all celebrating the cup, and it has been for all of those people that are watching their kids play, and to watch them get to hoist the cup up. What an amazing feeling that must be. There's one thing that I saw, I hadn't heard about it, and I think this is amazing. Somewhere along the line, the strength coach and Brind'Amour came up with that lift the block at the end of their
35
workout.
pounds.
Yes, and I can tell you, I know they're 35 pounds. My father owned a concrete business, and my job when I turned 15 was at the end of not the end of the day. My day was, those blocks get made one day, they get put into a kiln, and they bake. And so overnight they become blocks. They're not just mud. And the next day I would pile them. They come off a machine, and if you don't keep up, they fall on your feet. There's three in our machine. In our machine, there was 3,250 of them a day, and I was at the end of the chain. And if they fall, they chip, and a chipped block is called a cull. My dad came down one day, I was a little bit behind, and he's like, I'm not in the effing cull business, because when a block chips, you got to sell it for cheaper. And so those things are 35 to 38 pounds. And so all day you put them on a pallet, 90 of them on a pallet. And when I saw that, I'm like, that is not bogus. Like, that was intentional. The weight of it, what it is, it's blue collar. And every day, if you haven't seen the video, those guys would finish a lift, and there's a block sitting in the corner of the gym, and they all walk over, pick it up, lift it up over their head. And the symbolism becomes, that's the Stanley Cup. And I just think it was amazing. I love that stuff.
So good. Rod the Bod was on full display post Stanley Cup.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, on the ice, he's handed the Stanley Cup, and it was like he had been reunited with a long lost friend. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Like, there was the hug, like, you're never taking this away from me. And then, of course, he hoisted over his head on the ice in full suit. And then, I don't know, somebody must have tore his shirt in the dressing room or whatever, because the next thing you see is, Brind'Amour tarps off. And how old is Rod? Like, mid-50s?
56, I think. Yeah, 56.
Jeez. Like, come on.
Well, I saw on a podcast, Jeff Merrick had said, he goes, if I looked like Rod Brind'Amour, I'd be looking for times to take my shirt off. Like, it was, the guy is shredded.
He is shredded.
And when he hugged the cup, my first, obviously it wasn't going to happen, but my first thought was, I hope he doesn't crush it. Like,
honestly,
he hugged that. It wasn't a pretend hug either.
No.
But here's one other thing, and I'll say, you can't fake passion. You can't fake connection to your team. Those guys were so happy for him, because I think he's so earnest and honest. for his players. He was so happy for his players. You know what he was doing right before the game? Because we had our little meeting and he's finished. He goes, okay, everybody good? I got to go. Like the rights holders, we have our meeting. Their American League team in Chicago is in the Calder Cup Final against the Marlies.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, we got to get back in there. It's 1-1. They were watching the game because Rod's son's playing. And so is Jacob Slavin's brother. They're on that team. And they're like, we got to go back and watch the game. Like everything about him is so authentic. I look, we know, like we've talked a lot. Like I think John Tortorella's awesome. I really do. I love Torts. I think he's a tremendous man. He really is. I was really happy for Rod. Really happy to see him, all this work and sweat equity that they've got in that team. 8 years, same coaches, Tim Gleason, Jeff Daniels, same coaches, same trainers, same goalie coach, same video coach. It is consistency to the plan, and the plan finally came through.
And you know what, Ray? I think it's important to acknowledge here, like all head coaches do their best to look after their staff. Now, some have more cachet and power and swagger than others. In Brind'Amour's case, he takes less, right? Way less. I mean, if this guy went to the open market, he'd be a $5-6 million coach per year. But he obviously loves being in Carolina, loves being part of the build that has led to this Stanley Cup championship. But there have been times where Rod is sitting there and going, okay, this isn't up for discussion. You're looking after my staff. And that includes my medical, my training people. Like that's how devoted and committed he is to that group.
His last contract negotiation, remember, we were all waiting around. It sounded like it was going to get done, and then it wasn't. And the holdup was making sure everybody else was returning. I got to say one thing. Well, one guy we haven't mentioned here is Tom Dundon, the owner. And there's a lot of people that don't love the way he does business because he is a bottom line guy.
Okay.
He really is. But I'm watching him on the ice. And of course, he's in his tracksuit and he's got his ball hat on. And the celebration is going on. He's 5 feet to my left. I've never met him. And I'm just watching him because I'm like, I wonder when he's going to get involved. He did not. That was the team. That was the players. That was the management. And finally, somebody kind of said, hey, Tom, come out, to give him the cup.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I had an image that he would be more involved. And he wasn't. He just kind of stayed over to the side. Last thing for me on the cup celebration, the night before the Knicks won the NBA championship. And that was their trophy celebration, and on the court was pandemonium and messy. And I know I'm biased, but it was chaotic. And the NHL celebration with the players and the cup and the general manager and the coach, and it was organized. It was clean. It was about the players. It wasn't about everybody else. All the Carolina parents and friends and family, as you know, Dregs, they're all standing right up at the glass. They can't wait to get out there. But everything is clocked by the league. 20 minutes for literally 20 minutes for the players.
Yeah.
Then the rights holders come out. And when the rights holders come out, that's when the family comes out. But not before. And I thought the celebration was the way it should be. It's the players.
Your old teammate gave me a big hug. I'm on the ice.
Which I had a lot of teammates.
Jason Blake. I'm like, and I haven't seen Jason in years, like a long time. And I could, I'm just following Rashog and Parker on the ice, just trying to wrangle our next one-on-one with one of these players. And
you're good at it. By the way, you're good at it too, I gotta say, because you don't wait. You're in there dragging sweaters like it's.
Oh yeah,
I've seen it.
Well, and there's some negotiating. I felt bad for Nikolai Ehlers because, I mean, this man, he stood in there. I watched out of the corner of my eye, right? And we all want to talk to him, of course, because he's still deeply loved in Winnipeg by Jets fans. And he stood in there with the media for at least 20 minutes. And then I skulk in at the end. And I'm like, Nick, if you got time for 2 more. And I mean, he would have rather just ran me over. But,
Right.
True to form, he did it. So last thing before we wrap up headlines and get going here. John Tortorella, right? And I don't know. It'd be unfair for me to say, if you're the general manager, do you bring him back? Because it's complex. There's a lot that goes into the decision of hiring a coach. And in this case, Torts deserves some credit, for help guiding this team deep, right?
Yeah.
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final after taking over an incredible circumstance with 10 games left. But what's your gut tell you? Is it likely he comes back, or is it more likely they give Ryan Craig the bench and give him a chance at the NHL level?
Well, I'm going to say I've stopped trying to think along with Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee.
That's probably smart. Yeah.
Because they have it's clear. We talked about the conviction in Carolina to follow their plan. They have the same thing in Vegas. And if we know anything about Vegas, they don't share that. Like that is like, I saw Ryan Craig at one of the games. I mean, he lives 15 minutes away, where the American League team is. But I saw him at one of the games and I'm like, he's not going to be coaching in the American League for very long.
No.
And when he left the bench in Vegas and went to the American League team, that was intentional. The intention is grow, run your own bench, and then you'll be the head coach here. To me, it kind of feels like that would be where they'd go.
Yeah.
But I really don't have any sense of that at all.
Nah, you're right, though. I mean, Kelly and George and that group, they've got to go through their audit here. They have to decompress. There's a lot of decisions that have to be made. And we're in a window of time here with the draft looming and free agency and all that, where every hockey department is drinking through a fire hose. I mean, that's just literally what's happening right now. Okay, those are your headlines, Ray. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse.
It feels like Tim Hortons has always been part of my routine, certainly as a dad, as a coach, or taking my kids to the early morning hockeys. Had to go through the drive-thru and get my cup of coffee and get the Timbits for the kids. Can I get a medium coffee with milk, please? Then even driving into studio now at TSN, if I don't go through the drive-thru, get my medium coffee with milk, I feel like my routine has been interrupted.
Here's your coffee.
Thank you.
Great day, guys.
You too. Only way to start a day.
And one more time, we're going to bring in our buddy, Chris Sabunia, for the Tim's Hockey Challenge. Really disappointed in my own performance down the stretch. Ice cold, I believe. 4 games in the Stanley Cup Final. Yeah. Weak performance. I folded.
Yeah, we ended, unfortunately, much like a game in the World Cup 2026, we ended in a draw here, fellas. And that's, I did have, there was some, it wasn't for sure, but I had, in fact, picked Sebastian Aho in Game 5, as Ray had. So Ray and I each got 1 in Game 5. That put us at the top of the list, tied 11 correct for Ray and I. Dregs fell off. You finished with 9. Schauger.
Brutal.
Trying to ask it, he declared himself 1 for 3 in Game 5, suggesting he would have taken Sebastian Aho.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't think I can give him.
We should give it to him. No, we should give it to him because it's an embarrassing performance anyway. What the heck's the difference?
All right, that's very charitable. Or he gets it too. Then where does it end, Ray? That's my problem. If he had said,
where does it end?
Looked at them and I thought Aho and I forgot to pick, but he just seemed,
there was a guy
out of midair.
I'm going to not name this guy, but there was a time when, we were making some wagers in Vegas on basketball and stuff, which is a terrible sport to bet. Anyway, one of the guys said about one of our teammates who was a terrible predictor. He said he couldn't pick a winner with tomorrow's paper. And I say, and I say the same thing about Rashog. He couldn't pick the goal scorers from game 6 today. He would get them wrong if he picked them today.
It's not just about the hair jokes. Now we have so much fodder to go after Ryan for the foreseeable future.
Oh, I think he's trying to talk, and I can see him. I think he's trying to talk, and I've got
him
don't let him in the green room.
No,
okay.
he's got his own podcast. He's got the guy scratch your back or with it.
I'm trying to defend myself, and Zuby's got me muted. I'm sitting here climbing the walls to defend myself.
Very strategic.
He won't even let me talk.
What are you going to defend?
Yeah, in 20 seconds.
What was my record, Zuby?
1. You had 1.
And we gifted you one.
And that wasn't just the finals, by the way. That was the entire playoffs.
Yeah. Gee, Zuby, would you like to recount that, Zuby?
Yeah,
maybe you got it wrong.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, we'll run it back.
In invoices are on the way, guys. We'll get you paid up right away. We'll see ya.
Okay. All right. Thank you,
yeah,
Zuby. So I guess we just we sit tight now. See, we've got a number of podcasts before now and the end of the season. I mean, the season for us ends on July 1st. We'll do that quick wrap up as we always do of free agency, but we're gonna have to invent. I don't know, like what kind of segment, Ray, do we bring Zuby in for the remainder of the shows now that Tim's Hockey Challenge is behind us?
We're gonna have to put the old coconut together and come up with something. We need Zuby.
Yeah.
We need Zuby.
Yeah.
We got
his mailbag.
Like off-season suggestions of places to visit or things we need to do, sort of stuff. Like Zuby's World, something like that. I don't know. So, we'll have to figure it out.
We'll brainstorm.
We'll get this by the next one. When's our next podcast, by the way? Do we know?
Probably later this week. I'm not sure. That's up to you, to be fair, because you're the driver of the Rain Driggs bus. It's all whether you can squeeze us in.
No, there's no more bus to drive. I have no schedule. I'm playing golf today, tomorrow, and Friday. Oh, by the way, we have kicked Jeff O'Neill in the shins a couple of times about his outrageous attempts to get on the golf course.
Yeah.
If he is number 1, you know who is number 1A? Obnoxious, calling, trying to set up golf.
Like in BC or just generally?
Yes. At this moment.
Oh boy.
Just think a little bit. You're not thinking. Obnoxious golf. Yes.
Yeah,
it is
he's
amazing.
Doing World Cup out there, right?
Yeah, it's relentless. Yeah. It's like Morse code. ... Me, Dan Murphy, anybody with a golf course out here, Duffy's on it. It is. So we're playing Friday with him. So.
Oh, there you go. So something you arranged or?
Oh no, I didn't arrange it. Well, I mean, eventually he wore me down, Dregs.
I got it. Yeah.
So he'll be out there with his elbow brace and his little training thing. He'll be out there.
Gadgets for sure he will be.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, enjoy it. And when we do check back later this week, next week, whenever we do, and now I'm tracking the Ray Ferraro golf scores because you had a strong start to the season. Then you got real busy with the playoffs, obviously. So I think you're going to be dialed in short order. So I'm looking forward to that.
Let me tell you my focus of this, because I got off the plane at 9:45. I got home at 11, and I was hitting balls at 1:30. So it's golf season.
Good deal. All right. Well, hit them straight and look forward to chatting later in the week.
You betcha, Drakes. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. Congrats to the Carolina Hurricanes, the deserving Stanley Cup champion.
Absolutely. And as always, thank you to our sponsors here on the Rain Dregs Hockey Podcast. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you. Thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.